What's up, guys? We are back for another Black Series review. This one rounding out the new figures in this current wave. We're going to take a look at Lando Calrissian, Billy D. Williams himself. So we're going to do packaging real quick. Standard box. We've got our artwork in the bottom right. Figure in the window. He's number 39. We got our write-up. More artwork. Name on the side. Let's crack him out. All right, so here is Lando out of the box. And he's a figure that I think has long been missing from the line. He is a main character. You just need him. He's Billy D. Williams. You gotta have him. So I am pretty pleased to finally get him in the collection. But how does he stack up? I'm pretty pleased with him. He's not the greatest. I think he's probably better than Qui-Gon in terms of likeness. But compared to some of the newer figures in this wave, the Guard and the Tusken Raider, I still think they're the top tier in this current wave. But Lando's pretty good, and they made a couple good choices with him. Specifically, we're going to start with this cape. I think the best thing they did in terms of his outfit and his attire is that they made the cape like Krennic's in that it is a solid piece of more rubbery plastic. It just sits around his shoulders, around his neck, and for the most part, it's pretty nice. This would not have done well as soft goods. Just not with their current track record, at least. So I'm happy they didn't go that route. We'll look at this cloak really fast because I'm not going to have it on him for the majority of this review. Like I said, it's a rubbery kind of plastic. We got black paint around the collar, and then on the inside, it's gold. And there is a lot of textured detail sculpted into this, more so than is probably needed for a Black Series figure. But I'm glad they did it. And it looks nice. It's very reflective. It's metallic gold style paint. Obviously, you can see that. And then it just, sits on him. It doesn't seem to do a whole lot for his weight distribution. I thought it was going to, and so far it hasn't. But he does seem to be a little heavier on the front than on the back, so you kind of might have to play with him a little bit just to get that right pose to get him to stand correctly. He obviously is a little hindered in this regard. You can still get him to hold his gun and the communicator that he comes with, but obviously his arms aren't going to be doing a whole lot of real expressive motions in this kind of pose here. So we'll take this off of him for now, set it aside, and let's look at the figure itself. So we're going to go over articulation first, and it's standard Black Series, so you know what to get at this point. Head's on a ball with a hinge. The hinge seems really high though. Like you can't even really see the hinge in the neck unless you kind of get him all the way back, and even then it's barely there. So he doesn't have a lot of up and down motion. He does go all the way around though. Arms go out, up, all that good stuff, normal. Single hinged elbow with just about a 90-degree bend. You can swivel at that elbow. We've got a hinge and a rotation at the wrists. There is a joint at the torso. There is zero crunch here. I mean, if you want to get picky, there is a little bit, but that's not going to do anything. But he does rotate at the torso. Nothing at the waist. Legs go out a decent bit. They go forward, I'd say that's about 90 degrees, and back, surprisingly quite a bit. Thigh cut, double jointed knees, which go all the way back. And then we've got a hinge and a rocker at the ankle. You will see some hindrance at the ankle, and that's just because of the sculpt of the pants. So, I mean, that's the sculpt, that's the style at the time, the late 70s, early 80s style pants with the flared bottoms. So the foot is going to hit that sculpt on the pants. And I mean, I can't complain about that. That's what he looks like, so it is what it is. As far as paint goes, the figure is mostly molded plastic. The shoes are molded, the pants are molded, the belt seems to be molded. The shirt is molded. Hands are obviously molded. We've got the painted collar, and then of course we've got the painted face. The hair is painted. I've got a little bit of bleed from the ear to the hairline on his right side here. Left side's a little bit better. Pupils are straight. No bleed or any kind of problems with the mustache or the lips or the eyebrows. So he looks good in terms of paint. He just doesn't have a lot in that regard. He does, however, have paint on the wrist communicator that he uses when he summons Lobot. So I'll zoom in on that to take a little closer look, but there's blacks and silvers and some reddish orange in there. So there's actually more paint apps on this little guy than on a lot of the rest of the figure. Now, the big thing he's a human character. The big thing is obviously going to be sculpt, and in that regard, it's going to be the face, the head. I think this is an admirable attempt at a Billy D. Williams. My previous review for Qui-Gon, I can't really see Liam Neeson in that figure. I sort of can, but not really. This is better. It's still not perfect, and I think a lot of it comes down, as usual, to the paint apps. Just there aren't enough paint apps on the face to bring out the sculpt. I think it's there, and in certain lights, I can see a bit of Billy D. Williams in this, but I think the bigger thing is that usually he's smiling, and he's not smiling here, so that's kind of hard to see. He's usually got a big grin on his face, showing his teeth. That wouldn't have been good for an action figure, I don't think, but I think it's pretty decent. The hair's sculpted really well. It's got that, kind of wavy, curly nature to it. Mustache has some sculpted lines in there. I think it's pretty good. I'm not too upset with how this face looks for a change. He's not perfect, and I knew he wasn't going to be. He's a $20 figure. This is not a Figure Arts, but it's pretty good. I'm overall pleased. So let's take a look from here. Let's take a look at the accessories he comes with. Okay, so he comes with 2 accessories. He's got his kind of rebel blaster. It's not really the Rebel blaster, but that's what most people call it. This is, what is it, the DH-17 blaster. Nothing too crazy there. It's black. It's got silver paint apps on it. Sculpted pretty well. He holds it fine. It's suited for his right hand because he does have a trigger finger. And then in his left hand here, you can see he has the communicator that he uses when he calls for the evacuation of Cloud City. So it's got a handful of paint apps. It's got silver, black, and gold. I mean, this thing is used for, 5-10 seconds in the movie, and I don't think he really needs it, but it's cool to get it. Makes me wonder where that money could have gone for tooling this little accessory, but it's a piece that he uses, so I'm not upset that we got it. It's probably going to stay in its box, otherwise I'm probably going to lose it down the road. He's more apt to hold this thing in his left hand. It's a more gripping hand. It'd probably fall out of his right hand more easily since it's got that open trigger finger. But I think he's got kind of needed accessories. You can see what I'm talking about. If you put the cape on him, he's going to drop most of his accessories. But while he's wearing the cape, you can get him to hold that gun. He's just going to be kind of holding it down, which isn't necessarily a bad pose. It's not very actiony. And lastly, real quick, just to do it, he's got some pivotal characters he's associated with in Star Wars. So we'll do a quick just size up with him and Han. And you can see that Han is slightly taller than Lando, and in real life, they are almost the same height. Lando's like 6-ish feet. Well, Billy D is 6-ish feet, and Harrison's just over 6 feet. So this is pretty well in scale, I think. And then, Chewbacca, he just towers over them both, which is fine. I think overall, the scale here is pretty good, and they look well together. I'm pretty pleased with how they all kind of match up. So overall, I am pleased with Lando. I like him better than I thought I was going to, actually. I was worried that the face wasn't going to be all that great. And like I said, it's not perfect, but at this point, I don't expect it to be. And I think I got $20 worth of figure on this one. I think the head sculpt is nice. It just needs more paint. That's where we are with Black Series, so I've kind of come to terms in that regard. But I do like him. I think he is a good representation of Empire Strikes Back Lando. I would love to get a hold of Jabba's Palace Lando or General Calrissian. That would be awesome. I'm sure they're probably cooking something like that up down the road just to reuse some of these molds and reuse that head at least. So I look forward to that in the future. So that's going to do it for this review, everyone. As always, stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And until next time.